This is something that we've been covering for quite some time: the rail strike, labor, and the squad's betrayal. And if you ask me personally, like there's two primary things that's going to be on the record of Bernie Sanders and the squad for the rest of their life, and this is the things that they won't ever be able to live down, and that's voting for unending aid to Ukrainian Nazis and supporting Joe Biden's geopolitical agenda, and and another one is breaking the rail strike, and then lying about it. And now there's a reckoning going on, and we reacted to the David Sirota interview with AOC last week because the second I saw it, I was like, wow, AOC really fucked up here. AOC really dropped the ball. And it's actually unbelievable how bad her performance is, even to the point where David Schroeder's own audience was calling her out, calling David Schroeder out for his softball interview. But in this interview, you also see why AOC actually do not go on independent media. Why don't AOC go on to have a conversation with Cenk Uygur, Sam Cedar? They're going to be nice to her, right? No, AOC is so incompetent that any question that is from left field, she's going to mess up. And that was including the rail strike. And now we see why she avoids independent media, because after her David Schroeder interview, you have people that was like, what the fuck? And I'm not talking about RBN people, because Jacobin wrote this article. You have people that, and we were talking about this behind the scene, that was like, holy shit, AOC just went on David Schroeder and lied about everything. She sounds like Mark Taylor Greene now. People not even RBN. It's like a shocking revelation.
This is the levers. This is the lever. Now, you know, the lever is all progressive sort of people. So this is their audience reaction.
Yep.
Like, which is like, and I always, and when this happened, we did a couple of streams because it was big news. They broke a strike, and we were like, they're never going to recover from this. Like, this is something they're never going to recover from. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah. And I told you guys the Bernie Industrial Complex, they manufacture consent for these progressives, and they will cover like, oh my God, Bernie Sanders went on Fox News and he slayed. AOC was at a congressional hearing and she owned it conservative. They'll do stories like that all day, but they won't cover like Bernie Sanders' horrific interview that we cover where he pretty much punted the ball in Ukraine. They won't cover AOC. Now, I've been paying attention. How many of them did video about AOC's David Schroeder interview? Because it will make AOC and their people look bad by doing so. So with that said, I'm gonna pull this quote because Ryan Grimm also has quite a bit to answer for, and Shama Sawan had more than enough of him because he was helped propagating this lie. Because Jacobin and people who actually stand for union to strikes, they were baffled. They heard the interview, they were expecting, they were like, oh my God, David Schroeder and AOC hooked up. This should be a good one. Then they watched the interview and they heard the question, and they were like, hold up. She just straight up lying about the rail worker strike, and this is what Jacobin covered today. So this is the headline, and I'll pull the article up after your initial take. The Railroad Workers United, they quote, "We will never concede our right to strike." Now, this is coming after AOC went on David Sirota's show and pretty much bullshitted and lied and pretend that she's listening to rank and file. That's the same thing that Ryan Grimm was trying to pretend as well. So here's the article. I'll pull up the full article in full, but CJ,
it's not that long. I think we can get through it. It's not that long. Yeah, it's not that long at all.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it is. I don't know if other people.
And that'll give you guys more context. So this is written by Jacobin, right? Because at this point, I feel like if you're not calling out AOC and in this obvious con job, I mean like this Barack Obama level con job, that hurts your credibility at this point. And that was some people under David Schroeder video. Do you remember one of the top comments? Was that, man, David, even you having her on kind of hurt your credibility considering how much you just sold out.
I remember that comment. Yeah, I remember that comment.
So you have to be and you hear like TYT and them head fainting like, man, we don't even AOC and the squad account, but we had disagreements with them because you can't pretend they're our allies anymore. So this is Jacobin Ryan here. That's the headline. I'm gonna read the first paragraph and look at what I'll read this and I'll show you what they found in the article. Interview. Congressional progressives, including AOC, have defended their railroad strike vote by pointing to rank and file support. Here, Railroad United, Workers United clarifies the group has always opposed denying rail workers their right to strike. Always opposed that. And I asked Ryan Grimm to comment on this, and guess what? He's doubling down.
Oh no!
We'll get to that later. He's doubling down.
Nick, did you see their tweet? I know you researched this, and I don't want to give away the setup because I like the way you're going. I just want to make sure if you have it. If you don't, then I'm going to look for it. Did you know that RWU tweeted out and tagged AOC? If you don't have that tweet, this just happened yesterday.
Oh, I haven't find that.
Yeah, so I'll save it and I'll send it to you and everything. So, okay, go ahead.
Okay, so this is we're building the context behind for everyone who haven't been following this. Look at this. So we obviously respond to the David Sirota AOC interview because how could we not? Like, you have AOC in this interview being exposed by someone who's not even trying to expose her. She's being exposed by her own incompetence. As I said before, this is why you don't see AOC on independent media. And we also, in that breakdown, we talked about it literally after we finished it. That was like the longest we ever spent.
Yeah, that was a long one.
The professional managerial class, boutique left. Because AOC is like the queen of the boutique leftists, right? And that was like a masterclass performance. There was so much to break down. There was so much nonstop lying, so jam-packed. It took a long time just to explain everything. Our longest breakdown ever in this interview. So that obviously got the attention of Jacobin and other progressives. Look, this is where they found it. In that interview with David Sirota, where we were flabbergasted at the blatant lies that was coming from AOC. And even Jacobin, the people who always defend AOC, even they was like, dude, this shit is crazy. Like, we got really to argue about this shit. We can't think with this. Like, Ryan Grimm, he already decided he's going down with the ship.
Yeah, he's going down.
Whoever wrote this article, the editor that greenlit it, they made a decision that we aren't sinking with this ship. We're not.
Hey, when you're a captain, you're supposed to go down. Remember, he's captain. Save a politician. You got to go down with the ship.
Yeah. So let's continue.
That's funny.
In defending her votes, one to approve 7 days of sick leave for rail workers and one to support the president's bill to block the strike, AOC states that she was acting on the wishes of RWU and other groups of rail workers. She states in the interview, we need to look after the vote. Folks like RWU was saying, this is what we asked them to do. Later, she says, because, for example, with the rail vote, the only partners that I had leading up to that were rail workers. And if that's what they asked us to do, that's what we did. But AOC is clouding the reality of the situation by referring to it as a vote. Now, this is the Jacobin writer. This is something that Ryan Grimm doesn't understand, guys. You guys Ryan Grimm wants to convince us, him and his fancy degrees, him and his high esteemed journalist position, like one that leads at the Intercept.
Washington bureau chief.
Washington bureau chief at the Intercept. He has the show with Breaking Points, one of the leading new quote unquote independent media channels. They almost got 1 million subscribers. And Ryan Grimm wants you to believe he don't understand this concept. AOC, with her degrees, with her professional managerial class bona fides, with her, she's a member of Congress, extremely smart, way smarter than us. We just dumb peasants. But AOC and Ryan Grimm do not understand this concept. AOC is clouding the reality of the situation. And apparently David Sirota doesn't either, because David Sirota doesn't push back at all when she lies to his audience, doesn't ask her any follow-up questions. In fact, David Sirota probably believed it. Why would you allow AOC to go on your show and lie about breaking the strike without any pushback? That's why people in his own audience was calling him out.
And another thing, Nick,
go ahead.
He is the editor at large at Jacobin. So I wonder, why wouldn't he push back when did he knew this article was coming up? Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, what is going on, David? if you scroll all the way up or somewhere in the article, it tells you how he, or maybe it's the tweet. It says how he still is the editor at large at Jacobin. So I wonder if he knew about this article.
That says two things. The first thing is not actually bad on David Troll. That shows that David Troll allowed a lot of editorial independence, which is good, right?
That's good.
That also shows that David Troll either knew this and didn't want to be rude and didn't want to be uncivil. So he might know that AOC was lying to his audience because he's the editor at Jacobin who knows this. But if you put back at AOC and call her a liar, that would be uncivil, CJ. And it may cost her a future interview with AOC. You guys see the problem here?
Yes.
You guys see the problem? The first part is good, though. That obviously, based on this article, David Troll allows a lot of editorial independence. That's the good part. So I'll leave with a positive and negative. That's positive. The negative is obviously they will fall out because of access journalism. So let me continue.
I just looked it up. Yes, he's still editor at large at Jacobin. Yes, just to make sure he's still current. Yeah.
I'll start from the beginning part again. AOC is clouding the reality of the situation by referring to the vote. Like, I love how they put the vote. Like she always say, there's the vote. There was the vote. And they mentioned when in fact there was two separate and distinctive votes. Ryan Grimm doesn't understand this. One bill proposed 7 days of paid sick time, while the other bill blocked rail workers from striking. These bills were completely independent from one another. Ryan Grimm, big brain Ryan Grimm don't understand this. Big brain. Professional managerial class. He's way more qualified than I am, right? He don't know that. And this is the point that you make all the time, CJ, which is a great one. If you are a leader, which AOC is not, you inform the workers of the reality of the situation. Right. And you support, and your position as a leftist is we do not strike because the second bill that gives you paid sick leaves has no chance of passing. So this is not, as the left leader, I am advising you on this. I am a leader, so I'm a leader on this. AOC is like, you guys want me to lead? I'm following your direction, which is bullshit.
Right.
Let me be clear. That's bullshit. That's an excuse. But what her excuse, what she wants you to believe is still weak. She's like, I'm not a leader. I know I get paid $170,000 a year. I know I present myself as a leader, but when it's time to lead workers, I'm gonna put the ball to union capitalists that are gonna help the Democratic Party break the strike. And so even if you believe her, what does that say about her leadership? That she's not able to guide the workers to the correct decision. In fact, she leads them off a cliff. So now let's go to our analysis. What I think is true, because I can do it both ways. You guys understand, no matter how, you got my radical position versus anyone else. Every way, AOC looks bad. My position is AOC made these people up. Ryan Grimm and AOC left completely make these people up, or they found one worker that agreed with them and they used that as justification to override the will of the workers. But despite this obvious situation that most people can see, they still going with that lie that they will work on behalf of the workers. Now I'll read this part right here, and I'll pass to you here soon. I'll actually put another tweet here soon. RWU cannot speak with any certainty as to what the official position of the various craft unions' respective leaderships was on the question of blocking the strike, but RWU made it crystal clear by our words and action throughout contract negotiations, while we were in full support of 7 paid sick leave, RWU would never be in favor of any legislation denying road workers our human right to withhold our labor. So what they're saying here, this is them very politely smacking AOC and Ryan Grimm right in the mouth. Because the first part, we cannot speak with any certainty on what the official position over various people. Like, so what they're saying is, yeah, you might find one person who don't know what the fuck they're talking about. So yeah, we can't speak for the one person who's an idiot who want to vote, who said we should break a strike. But the general position of our union has been, we do not favor any legislation which lead to breaking a strike. So when Ryan Grimm and AOC say, oh, we found rank and file member, yeah. For one, you probably made them up. Secondly, who cares if you found the one person who's a dumbass? Who cares?
I was trying to find the article, and I'll find it and maybe put it in the description later. But because we covered the segment, where I forget the art. I think it was with JB. The person or people who they're claiming these are DSA members out of the Jamal Bowman office. So it just it has suspicion already all over it. And to your point, either way, whether it's your point of saying these people were made up and then they got, oh, go get some people to act like, oh, you're in it. You're also DSA. You also put that part of that union. Oh, okay, help us craft this story. That could have happened if they're to be nefarious, or if it was a different way, you just simply convince somebody who doesn't know. How many people? There's people right now, Nick, that if you hold a Starbucks vote, you're going to get people that say no. So what does that prove? You get what I'm saying? So if you have a vote, 25 people, right? It's a vote of 24-1. AOC and Ryan Grimm is getting a quote from the one person and saying, look, that's what they're doing. Go ahead.
And that's still what Ryan Grimm is going with. To this day, still going with that. Last part I read of the article. Make sure you guys check it's not a long article, but I think you guys get the gist of it. This is the last part I want to read. RWU is in favor of any legislation that would grant any relief to the barbaric working conditions we contend with, but we would never concede our right to strike. We thank AOC and other members of the House of Representatives and the Senate for their votes in support of the sick leave, but we are not happy at all with her or others in both chambers. You guys see how they don't separate AOC and Biden and the Republicans? Because Ryan Grimm and the Progressives, they tend to do that. They were like, oh, yeah, I know they broke the strike, but at least AOC wanted them sick. Nah, nigga, we ain't separating. All y'all voted to break the strike, and they don't separate them either. We're not. They didn't say we're kind of happy with you, but we more. No, they said we're not happy with her and others in both chambers who voted to deny the rail workers the right to strike. And this is the tweet version I actually didn't see.
Yes. So the reason why it's good to have this is because so that people don't this is Jacobin just quoting some random. No. Yeah. Now you see this is the union. This is not some one person, Nick. Like you know what I mean? Like one union member who let me go to Jacobin and say this. This is the union coming out saying this. So go ahead.
This is I'm glad you found this. So this is a tweet from the union. I ain't seen this. So I'm reading this live. AOC is clouding the reality of the situation by referring to the vote when in fact there were two separate and distinctive votes. And do you guys think there is not a coordinated strategy to get AOC and Ryan Grimm to mislead people over this?
Yes, of course.
I think the question is all I have to say there. So one bill proposed 7 days of paid sick time, while the other blocked rail workers from striking. These bills were completely independent of one another. So they be like, oh my God, we supported the bill that gave them paid sick leave. Okay, what? There was two bills you supported breaking the strike, you dishonest charlatan. And when asked, because this is Rail Workers United calling this out, and the same with Worker Strike Back. Despite being slighted, they are professional organizations who's not going to put emotions behind the betrayal, right? So Worker Strike Back is not going to make a big fuss over AOC and the professional managerial class ghosting them, but I am. RWU, despite this, is still being very professional. They just, in a very professional, nice way, they're like, hey, ma'am, we are very upset with you for betraying us, ma'am. Thank you for, in general, saying nice things, but we are upset. Well, my attitude, I'm the anger translator. You motherfuckers betrayed us and broke a strike and did something that is one of the greatest sins a socialist could commit. That advocate of the worker could commit. That there is no going back on. That's the anger. That's the feeling you should have after this story. Now, this is my coverage of this. One of the other coverage of it. I saw this tweet. I read this tweet before.
Yeah.
When I asked Ryan Grimm.
Oh, you tagged him. Yeah, there we go.
I want to give you a fair opportunity because a lot of people are shitting on him right now. Look at his name. Because since this article came out, everyone like, Ryan Grimm, hey, I remember you said, what was that shit you was talking about? So I'll let you guys know, I'm not the only one. He replied to me, though. I'm not the only one. But everyone's, in the light of this article, in light of everything that happened after the David Stroll interview, everyone looking at Ryan Grimm like, hey, bro, what the fuck? Because you it's probably you're the reason why AOC's probably saying this shit. To be honest,
yeah.
AOC and their team was like, "What? How can we get ourselves out of the situation?" Then you guys saw Ryan Grimm. Ryan Grimm, I got you. I got a story that sounds plausible. I told you guys, one of two things happened. That way or the other way, where AOC was like, "We have a plan. We have a cover story. Who's our guy in the inside that will spread this for us?" They call Ryan Grimm. He has no shame. He will say it. He will lie for us. So it either happened that way or Ryan Grimm pitched to them. Because you are not going to convince me that it's a coincidence that they both ended on this same position, this same lie, that they just so happen to be on the same gaslighting wavelength. We're going to repeat the same
because
lie.
Nick, it proves coordination is, since it's now been proven that that's a lie.
Yes.
Because you all just randomly came up with this specific. It's too specific to be random. That means it's coordination. 100%. There's no other way.
And they don't owe benefit. We don't owe them benefit of doubt until you prove me otherwise. That's what it seems to me, and that's what I'm going with. You don't deserve benefit of doubt. So this is 100% coordinated, as shown by your actions. So I asked Ryan Grimm, "You have any comment in your role in parodying this lie?" And he doubles down. I found one person that said something.
The article addresses this. And he keep pretending, Nick, and acting like the point is not that let's do it both ways, like we always say. Let's say go it is. The point is not you didn't find one person. The point is that's one person out of my example, the 24 of the other Starbucks workers who voted for the union. You're picking the person in the minority of the union. That means that person isn't saying what the majority of the workers want. So you're not doing what the workers want because the majority of workers don't want that. And you know that by the vote. And we were saying this during the segments at the time. We were like, why are they saying that? They clearly are telling you they're ready to strike. And now you're trying to act like that's not the case.
So there's a tweet that came from RVW directly saying that they upset with AOC
exactly.
Squad from the group. But Ryan Grimm picks this one person out. Who said this is his quote. Gruters, who RVW called the whole debacle a betrayal by both parties and urged exploration of a third party, similarly said, this is one person, not the group, one person is saying the hostility aimed at Bowman and the others were misplaced. So Ryan Grimm found one person who liked the squad. And Jamal Bowman. It was like, come on,
allegedly
mad at them. And this is what the
who's allegedly a Jamal Bowman out of his office. You understand? Allegedly, because I'm saying allegedly until I get the article. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'll pass to you then. But he said we always knew we were going to be forced back to work by Congress. We just didn't know when and under what terms. Rail labor isn't concerned about the squad. It's such a non-issue for us. So this is one quote. And Ryan Grimm said, "Oh my God, the RWU is not upset at the squad because it's one person said or not, even though RWU is literally tweeting at the squad." How does that? So you see, and for one, it's important to remember, I am questioning Ryan Grimm over his role. My tweet, I said, Ryan Grimm, you have any statement about your role about lying and gaslighting over the fact that the squad was following RWU's order? Because that was the position of Ryan Grimm. The position of Ryan Grimm was AOC and squad was following RWU. So I am calling him out. Hey, you want to correct that? Considering RWU, the group is saying they're not. And his response is to quote this guy out. How is this a response to you lying about the story? It is not. It is absolutely not. And but I'm going to continue the statement. And he's saying, yeah, it is a strategic question. And I can see the pros and cons to what we did. And it is what we did in the moment. And yeah, I get it. Is it strike breaking on one hand? Yes. So even the guy that Ryan Grimm got to defend the squad and him, even he said, yeah, you guys kind of broke the strike. But don't get that mad at them. That's your statement, Ryan Grimm? Is calling a guy that said, yeah, the squad and them broke a strike, but you guys shouldn't be that mad at them. That's your statement in response of you lying for the squad and you lying in terms of strike breaking. So if you guys don't, once again, let me play this again, and I want to see how this makes sense. I didn't even reply to his tweet. I'm like, all right, I gotta go live with this.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you talking about? You see here.
Wait, let's break it down again. Let me make sure I understand what you're saying.
I'm gonna go through it again.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
So I quote the article from Jacobin, and I'm going through with you guys because this dude Ryan Graham is weird and he's snaky. Like, why would you even put this article here? That's not what I'm asking for you. I quote the article we just covered, exposing how RW called AOC out for her lie on David Schroeder's show, which is the same line that you've been repeating, Ryan Grimm. So my question is, do you have any comment on your role in parroting this lie? So his comment is quoting this guy who also said the squad broke the strike. And the only thing he says is that we shouldn't be that mad at the squad. So how is that a defense of you lying on behalf of the establishment, Ryan? That is not a statement from you. This guy is not acting in good faith. And this is what Shama Sawant called out. Is this someone who's acting in good faith? What the fuck does this tweet have to do with you lying about the squad? None at all. I was trying to find Rome tweet, because Rome be calling him out on it. I can't find it. I hope he didn't get banned. Rome's calling him out on it. But anyway.
Yeah, I saw that too. I retweeted.
This is someone whose reputation is going to continue to be driven in the mud because everyone remembers what he did. Now, if you go to Ryan Graham's timeline, this man has been in defense mode over this because he replied to me. He quoted him, quoting someone else in response to this, because when you defend this lie for the squad, you showed your hand. You showed your hand. And now you have workers, and even Jacobin, many people who are not as far left as we are. I mean, like, these people are sock dems. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Democrat voters. Even they are like, hey, you guys got to explain this shit to me. Jacobin wrote that article. You guys got to explain. That's not a good interview. That's not a good answer. But Ryan Grimm is still doubling down and saying, we found one guy who said, not that big of a deal. But they did break a strike. We shouldn't be that mad, though. So that's okay. So that's why I lied. Because one person said the squad's not that evil. How did that make sense? CJ, anything else you want to add? Any other takes that you have?
Yeah. So actually, no, not text. So I just want to add a couple of headlines here about this, and because Jacobin, this particular article is good, but Jacobin has been pretty bad as far as their track record on this, because they also was trying to help cover. Like, before they did their research, maybe, Nick, they kind of went with the story. This is just one of the articles that I was trying to find the Jamal Bowman point. And it's a longer article. I'm pretty sure it's in here, but it's a longer article. But this is just them trying to help, or either maybe they believed it. Maybe, yeah, I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm trying to give Jacobin. So maybe they ran what Ryan Grimm and AOC was saying because they didn't hear otherwise. Maybe that's the point. But now, after this latest reporting, they have heard otherwise, and maybe that's why the story has come out, because it's like, wow, or maybe it's more like this, Nick. It's like, wow, we tried to run that story. People didn't buy it. Like, RBN and then was like, oh, fuck no to that shit. And it's like, people didn't buy it, so we might as well come around, and now we need to go ahead and act like we're mad and stuff. So they're doing that.
Split here. So to that point, I'll pass it back to you. I think there's a split here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Capital, right? Do we sink with the ship of the squad, or do we save our own career and credibility? And there are people who decide to sink with the ship. Ryan Grimm is obviously one of the people that sink with the ship. I think there's people who thought the squad lie was plausible, thought that Ryan Grimm's lie was plausible. But once they realized it wasn't, they're like, fuck, I ain't going down with this ship. Now they're critical of it. You know what I mean? So I think that's mostly what it is. But yeah, the Jamal Bowman thing is particularly interesting. But the big point of this segment is this is something that they're not going to be able to run away from. Nothing that, like, road workers are not going to forget this. Socialists are not going to forget this. They're not going to forget them betraying and stabbing the backs of workers. And now the only reason we even have this story and this is kind of why I mentioned too in the beginning of this segment, was that this is because AOC went on David Sirota, and David Sirota mentioned this, and he offered no pushback. So despite what RWU is saying, despite what we all knew, and this is what we would do, would be my immediate pushback if I had a chance to interview AOC and she replied like that. David Sirota allows her to lie to her audience, but even by doing that, she still looks bad. She looked bad with a guy who's not asking follow-up questions, a guy just asking basic questions. What now? You guys see why she retreats to Alec Wagner. Now you guys see why she does interview with Chris Hayes, because they're gonna talk about red blue shit. How can you fuck with red blue interview? You can't. Republicans bad, Trump bad, our democracy is broken. January 6th, bam, you did it. So AOC's been coasting on that shit. So then she go on one independent media outlet, David Sirota, and she fails this interview. Now do you guys see why they refuse to do any, not even Cenk Uygur, Sam Cedar, even the softest Mike Figueredo, David Doe, the softest among us. Hell, Vox probably have us sweating. They are that intellectually lazy as leaders. But CJ, I see you put something up.
Yeah, so I wasn't able to find an article, but I found the discussions around the article. So this is the person as we're referring to. He's saying, why would RWU name AOC and Bowman in a press release? Are they not Democrats? Members say in the press release that they wanted Dems to vote no on TA. AOC is saying they wanted her to vote no. Now, there's more in this thread. There's a lot, and this is the thread that talks about it. I literally posted a press release from the union compromise, and there's the same sort of thinking, basically, Nick, that this is a compromised member of the union that's kind of running PR for the Dems or helped to run the PR. And this is December, Nick. So we didn't have any coordination with this person who calls themselves Black Left Twitter. And they're having this conversation about that, about how why is Jamal Bowman, why are they so closely involved in this? It's a long thread, but I wanted to focus on the part just where they talked about that. But to me, this is just one of another block, Nick, in the long line of, I would say, probably the last 2 years. They just have been getting L after L after L after L. And this strike one was one of the bigger ones. And I mean, from the parliament to the Ukraine votes or the multiple Ukraine votes, they have just been getting L after L. And it's showing up in the voting. This is why Nina Turner couldn't win, because some people say, I'm not buying into this. This is why Marianne Williamson is not tracking off. If you go and look at Marianne Williamson's post, it's a bunch of people and like, oh, fuck y'all, I ain't doing this shit no more. Like, just go and look and see. This is they're not gonna recover from this, Nick. Go ahead.
Yeah, they're not gonna recover. They're not gonna cover this at all, not at all. And they tried to cover for them in the squad. And that's why people who support taking over the Democratic Party should be more upset with AOC and Bernie than they are at us. Yeah. They more upset at Jimmy and us for calling these people out. We don't support the strategy of taking over the Democratic Party. If anything, we should be cheering these people on, because one of the biggest people that convert people to the third party is people like the squad who convince young people that shit's not worth it. But if you want to take over the Democratic Party, and if you have dreams to be the next congressional candidate, you should be very upset at AOC and Bernie Sanders, because they pulled the ladder up. As I said many times, they pulled the goddamn ladder up, and the people are more upset at people talking about their mishaps than that. Now, one thing that is very telling about the David Sirota interview, and this is my last take, is how nervous AOC was, and how she degraded. And I said in the interview, she was coaching to a potato. Like, if you watch the Jimmy Dore interview with AOC, if you watch any pre-defeat of Crowley interview with AOC, she was immensely oppressive. She tricked Glenn Greenwald. Glenn Greenwald talks about it all the time. We had a conversation about it. How she had AOC on, he had AOC on his show. He was like, bro, I'm done with politicians. So he said he had the intentions of grilling her. Like, he wanted to, like, this is why I don't fuck it with AOC. And then he, like, after the interview, like, damn, dude, she's legit. Like, she was good on song. She was everything else. Everything else. She went from that to an interview. Watch it. You guys seen it. She was looking around, fidgeting, being very nervous speaking. You guys know why that is? Because AOC has so many L's now, it can't be chalked up to coincidence anymore. So when you first get in there, you got some few laws like, oh God, we trying. Yeah, I know we voted for Nancy Pelosi. Oh, I know we didn't force the vote, but come on, we trying. Yeah, I know. Come on, man, we voted for you. Can we try? But now you got L after L after L to the point where even David Sirota has to mention them. So AOC completely lost her confidence, and she knows she's been exposed as a fraud. So when you watch the interviews, that confidence, dynamite, progressive speaker that you guys seen is gone. She's a nervous, mess because that's what happens when you know you're being exposed. When she's doing these answers, she knows she's being exposed. She knows she's not sounding great, and she knows the left is smelling something, and she's not as confident as she used to be. And to be honest, guys, that is the part that is glorious because when you watch the body language of this, you know that she knows we are on her ass.
All right, because she knows like every inch of this interview is going to be meticulously analyzed about my answers on these things. She already knows this.
Yeah,
she knows this. That's what makes her nervous in these. But go ahead, I cut you off. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I remember in the interview where she essentially unprompted went on a rant complaining about left YouTubers like Jimmy Dore and RBN. That was not the question. The question David Sirota asked her was about the criticism she getting about Ukraine and rail strike breaking. After her worst salad that even Jacobin had to write about, she later unprompted went to this thing about. You guys think about it. Actually, a lot of this left infight has been inflamed by people who actually benefit from criticizing me for breaking the strike. These people benefit from criticizing me from vote for Ukraine. So, guys, she's on her Zaza burner accounts, watching all the Jimmy Dore videos, in RBN chatter, and she's like, these motherfucking grifters! They fucking grifters! Oh, he's criticizing me and breaking strikes because they bit. So this is something that eats on her. The reason why I say unprompted, that's important, because not like David Sirota, like, what's your thoughts on the left independent media people who are taking advantage of your... No, unprompted, she went on this rant. This is eating at her, guys. This shit, every time she's asked about what her left criticism is, she thinks, goddamn, Jimmy Dore, fucking Jimmy Dore, telling people what I'm fucking doing. That's, to me, extremely telling, isn't it?
She can barely tweet out, Nick. People are dumping on her. I remember for like 2 months, every tweet she was tweeting, people were like, what? Strike breaker, scab. And I'm sure they still have a trickle of that. But I remember for a solid 2 months, I was like, wow, this shit is like prevalent. They're not living this down. And there goes the Jaja account. And it kind of proves that she does care about all of this, is what is being said. She's watching independent media. She knows what's going on. They're watching all this stuff, trying to keep abreast. That's why they're staying out. That's why they know to stay away. That's how they know, because they know we're talking about them.
They know what shows to go on and what shows not to go on. You know what I mean? They 100% know what's going on. And that's why I think that they hard pivoted. Like Jamal Bowman, like all for like he's doing the red blue gun thing. Like that's his thing now. He's the guy who advocates for gun control. He's hate Republicans. Like they not even trying to win over the left, CJ, anymore. They all lean into red blue liberal culture war bullshit because they know they lost the left. To our point, because they see what the fuck we talking about. They see our criticism. They're like, God damn, we lost them. Pivot. We need to get the Jennifer Rubins.
Do you think this is why? On our side. Do you think this is connected to what Jake and Anna did about kind of cutting the? They're like, wow, yeah, we need to pivot and we got to cut our offspring because they are talking about left shit, even though it's quasi left. Like when you're talking about quasi, meaning they're only talking about this as other stuff, because trans rights is not quasi left; it is a left thing, but it's like the only thing or one of the few things they're talking about. Nothing that's really challenging capital. But so when they cut those apron strings in my segment, I was like, this shit is suspicious. This is not just no random argument. This is like real suspicious to me. And I think this is connected to what you're saying here. How they know we don't got the left no more. So we're just gonna make a hard pivot to replace the aging, legacy media, because now that's coming to us. We're gonna be what now is gonna be known as legacy media in 10 years. So.
Yeah, because at this point, man, maybe I was mistaken. I don't know, but I feel like they used to at least try. You know what I mean? Now I've been over the course of this last year of having the Nick and CJ show, of us covering what they do, all the mistakes. I'm like, dude, they don't care what we think now, bro. There's no way they care what we think, and they're fucking this much up. They're like, all right, we already lost, so we might go full in now. Because there's no way to describe. Even I'm shocked. Like I have no faith in Bernie, AOC, and the squad anymore. But then even I'm shocked when they break the strike. You know, when they broke the real strike, I'm like, bro, really? Really?
I remember that too.
Really? Like, bro, I didn't think they would do that.
We did 2 streams on it in 2 like back-to-back days, and it went. Both of them did great because nobody could believe. We were like, "What?" And it was like you didn't even need to break it. Like it literally would have passed if all of the squad didn't vote for it. It would have still passed. And it was like you didn't even need to do this. What are you doing?
So when they do stuff like that, they prioritizing their position with the establishment with the knowledge of the people that still like AOC. Like people who think highly of AOC, like David Sirota. I couldn't get Marianne Wilson to say bad thing about Bernie AOC, even though I literally explained the criticism to her face. I just see it differently than you do. I won't explain why you're wrong. I'm gonna just say I see it differently than you do. You know what I mean? If AOC and their calculus is, if anyone is still with us, they're gonna die with us at this point. So they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna break the strike. Trust me, Ryan Grimm, and they'll find a way to work backwards from their conclusion, and that's how they're doing things. And
I'm very suspicious. If you get an interview with AOC, I'm suspicious now.
Yeah.
If she's interviewing with you, that means she is basically holding a red flag saying, this person I can trust because they're not going to do anything wrong to expose me any further. So spare me the interviews, and people already know.